Ooh, scary stuff. It is Fireside Chat Radio. Hello, everybody. Banana Jack Murphy here. We are brought to you by the Jerry Cox Company. Say hello, Marshall Biddle.
Hello, Marshall Biddle.
How are things over at the gas company?
Rocking along.
I love it.
You know, we got gas.
Yeah. We got gas.
Right.
Hey, he loves it. He's paying for it. More power to us.
Right.
Hey, Deacon, how are you, son?
Well, I'll tell you. I just got some gas, and I'm starting to feel rather faint. I think I'm getting sleepy.
I think that's a Boris Karloff.
I think it is,
He
too.
got the good stuff.
How are you, Dr. John Stamey?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to be here with you guys.
Good to have you back. Last time you were on, we talked about Alice Flag and reticular activation systems. A little something I know from sales and advertising, that sort of stuff. But I didn't know you guys in paranormal were studying all that. That's cool.
Yes, we are.
Well, for those that have been up late at night on a Saturday, and it can happen, you flip on your radio and you're thinking, what happened to my radio? Those boys aren't right. That's scary stuff. We have a great show called ScaryCast, which we air on midnights at Saturday. John wanted a show on, and we talked. I think is that time slot available? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
In
Sure
many
enough.
locations.
That's perfect for that sort of stuff to just say we're on Saturday at midnight. I mean, you know, that's when all the creature features used to be on WRAL TV 5 when I was growing up in central North Carolina. We've talked about a lot of scary things that I've seen. We're not going to talk about those on the show today, maybe at a later date.
Yeah, we need to get him back.
I've seen some freaky stuff, and we've talked about it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
You've been on his show Saturday night?
I've been on his show.
Really?
I was on your show maybe one time, I think.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, maybe one time. That's been a while. And I think we were talking about wrestling.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we
different
were.
show, but I have been on a show before. But he comes by the station, and we've talked about many things. And he was asking me if I knew anything about the Sydney Monsters. Now, Loris and our radio station is about 5.5 miles as the crow flies from the North Carolina state line, North Carolina, South Carolina state line. And just up the road from Tabor City is this community. You got a lot of communities out there. We have them here in South Carolina. You ride along, you see a little sign. That's the community. So I want to hear more about this. Apparently, there were monsters in Sydney. Now, whereabouts is Sydney? Is it up 701?
That's exactly right. Sydney it's about 6 miles past Tabor City.
Okay.
And this is very interesting how I found out about this. I was at a chamber function in Brunswick County, and I was in a particularly bad mood. And when I'm in a bad mood, I'm just liable to say anything.
Right.
So I'm meeting some people, and the guy said, "So what do you do?" I said, "I write paranormal books, and I'm a psychic," because I was just in a bad mood, and I just decided I was going to say that, you know? He said, "Oh, well then, you know about the Sydney Monsters, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay." Of course, I didn't know anything about the Sydney Monsters. So what happens, I couldn't find anything on Google about it. But he had mentioned something about Tabor City. And I know that if you want to know anything about Tabor City, you go to the Tabor Loris Tribune, which used to be the Tabor City Tribune. Mm-hmm. And so it was like Tuesday. I went by there. I said, "Hi there. Can you tell me? Do you have an article about the Sydney Monsters?" And the editor, I guess he's actually the publisher. He's been around there for about 41 years. He said, "Oh my God, you're like the second person that's asked me about the Sydney Monsters in a week." "Yeah, come on in." And he gave me a mask because it was, COVID time. And he gave me a mask, took me inside, took me into their archive room, and he went directly to 1973, and it was the September 26th edition. And there was this huge half-a-page story on the front page of the Tabor City Tribune, which, by the way, is the first small-town newspaper to ever win a Pulitzer Prize.
For their expose on the Ku Klux Klan.
Exactly.
Horace Carter.
That's right, Horace Carter. He's great. So anyway, took me in there. I said, I take it we don't have a digital copy. He said, no, we're not digital yet. So I whip out my phone and I started taking pictures of the whole article. It was great. I said, well, I'll talk to you later. I said, by the way, who else talked with you about the Sydney monsters this week? He said, oh, Chief of Police. He wanted me to reprint the story. I said, I'm going to make a deal with you. You're not going to have to reprint it because I write paranormal books. And from what I've seen, I really like this story, and I'm going to put it out in there. Can I put the actual article in the book and give you all kinds of attribution? He said, absolutely. Something from 1973, that's dead as 4 o'clock. So, that's an old mountain phrase. I didn't know they knew it in Tabor City, dead as 4 o'clock. You know what that meant? At 3:50, that's when the furniture plants shut down.
How about that?
And they were they were out of there like nobody's business. So, as my dad used to say, son, it was dead as 4 o'clock because there was nobody in the furniture plants. So anyway, but yeah, he said, sure, that's great. And so what I've done, I'm going to talk a little bit from a book that I wrote called Look Up in the Sky. It's a second edition, but you can't buy it anywhere. You can probably buy it at some of my conferences because the third edition is going to be out fairly quickly, and it will be on Amazon because I'm only halfway through investigating the story about the Sydney monsters. The key to the puzzle, I have not spoken with that lady yet. So anyway, what happens is the week before September 26th, 1973, a lady reported seeing 2 space creatures in the woods behind a trailer park. Now,
always a trailer park.
Now, let me tell you
I
something.
resemble that
That's
remark.
right, man.
Let me tell you something. Do you know what Sydney? You talked about Sydney being a community. It's a crossroads.
Yeah, that's about it.
It's not. And there just happened to be a trailer park there, and now there's a car repair shop and an old station that or an old gas station that's still open, and that's it. That's all that's in Sydney. But it became pretty famous there for a while. Now, here is the description of those monsters from a lady named Rose, whose last name I will keep quiet for now. Rose observed the monsters many times, says there are 2 of them, and gives the following description of their appearance. They're about 7 to 8 feet tall with big red eyes that glow in the dark. They are dressed in brown shirts with black pants that are ragged at the bottom. Their faces are gray and look like modeling clay. They have long hair and pointed ears and wear a small brown cap on their heads. They have sort of a wicked smile. The monsters leave no tracks and are able to leap 30 to 60 feet in a single bound, like the rubber man in the circus, as she added. She further described the physical appearance of the monsters as saying they had walked with the limb of one hand and one arm missing. It's like a stub. It's like they were born with no hand. The monsters have a large metal medallion in the middle of their chest, which they use to communicate, and which they strike with their arm to disappear into thin air. Now that's a fairly detailed description. If it's fake, there's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
Marshall, do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean,
Yeah, she didn't just pull that off the top of her head.
I think
No, that sounds like my cousin Roy. Every bit of that. He played basketball.
okay.
Freaking Roy.
Yeah, that's
Freaking
it.
Roy. But it is interesting. You can tell when there might be a ring of the truth. And I spoke with the historian in Tabor City, Richard Wright, the attorney. He's a very nice
Richard.
guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy.
He really took to it. When I walked in and his secretary said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "I need to see Mr. Wright." She said, "He's really busy." I said, "This is a matter of importance." I mean, listen. How am I going to address myself? It's important. I got to see the attorney. So he comes out. He walks outside. He sits down. "Sir, what do you want to talk with me about? Do you need my services?" I said, no, I want to talk about the Sydney monsters. He busted out laughing. He loved it. He said, oh, my God. He said, I am too busy. Make an appointment with me in 2 weeks, and we'll talk. And he was thrilled. We became immediate best friends because he had been thinking about the Sydney monsters recently. And so, anyway, I went back and talked to him, and he told me a very interesting thing about this lady. She said that when she took a shower and there was a window in her bathroom she could look out of when she was taking a shower.
Okay.
Now that may be the only unbelievable thing I don't know about, but okay, maybe it was. It was, wherever it was. But she said that's when those aliens could contact me.
Oh dear.
By telepathy.
While she's taking a shower? Oh my God.
So now, okay, now
now
we're on ScaryCast, my podcast, and I have one of the top Bigfoot experts in the world, Robin McCrae. And I mentioned that comment by this lady, Rose. She said, oh, John, everybody knows that the Bigfoots can contact you and mess with your mind when you're in the shower or you're driving.
Oh, stop it.
And no, it's on the show. It was on there one Saturday night. You just missed it. But the whole fact is that she corroborated a crazy story from a good, solid attorney. There's more than meets the eye to this thing. It just really is. I mean, it's become like a lifelong, or at least a 3-month passion of mine to get it done, and to get the investigation done. So
I can see the window that she's talking about that is in that bathroom, and it's not like a full window. It's
Right.
It's a rectangular window.
That's right.
And it kind of rolls out.
Yep, it's about 6 inches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it vents out to
I've been
let
in
some
that
of the
shower.
steam.
I've been in a shower
so you
like that
can,
before.
they can. No one could see in unless they
No.
were on a ladder.
Yes, that's true.
But I know exactly.
Well, they couldn't see anything from the head down anyway.
Right? Yeah.
Even
but,
if they were right at the window.
But she could see. I could definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, great, thank you. So Banana Jack and Marshall have corroborated to some extent Rose's story that was told to me by the city, by
At least the window
by the
in
attorney, and
in
then
the trailer park restroom. Yeah, that's she's on.
and by the by the psychic on ScaryCast. It can't get any better than this.
No.
Investigative reporting on the air.
Wow.
On Fireside Chat. Okay, so anyway, she called, now get this, the law enforcement agency there in Tabor City, the law enforcement agencies in Columbus County, area news media like a couple of television stations in Wilmington,
Right.
the National Guard, the United States Army at Fort Bragg,
Wow.
Governor James Holzhauser's office, Congressman Charlie Rose's office, and President Nixon.
Good grief.
Wow.
She said, we got monsters here. It's kind of like on Deliverance. They say, we're trying to pick a banjo here.
Yeah.
We're trying to report a monster. So that's what's going on. So anyway,
The arm came into my bathroom and stole my fufa. It's an 8-foot
I think
arm.
that's a loofah.
A loofah.
but
No, alien is a fufa.
Okay.
we're laughing, but it is kind of funny that all these circumstances and all these half-baked stories, they don't seem so. It seems seems like the brownies got made and they're pretty good, you know.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think we have many half-baked stories here. And then the local disc jockey Ken Williamson from WTAB. Do you know that?
I know of Ken, but this is way before my time.
Well, but Ken went out to their trailer, and he witnessed the Tabor, the Sydney monsters.
He saw him.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
So I mean, we've got another witness here, and here's what Rose says. She said she put out a TV dinner, and they came up and ate it like a dog would eat it.
Right.
They didn't eat the green vegetables, but they liked the potatoes and the meat. And she also left some biscuits out for them that they ate. That was nice of her.
Sure it was.
She also said that they drank radiator fluid from her car. Now, now here's the deal. I don't know about that. They might have actually drunk water.
Right.
But still, it's just This is the story. I mean,
Yeah, but they didn't eat the greens. They probably wouldn't. I don't know. Was antifreeze green back in those days, or the yellow like
Yes,
it is
it was,
nowadays?
I think, yeah.
Okay, I just
who knows? But anyway, so
They've got
there
mixed
you
up.
go.
Thought it was lime
And
Kool-Aid.
now the story gets thicker.
I want some thickener.
Yeah.
We put some flour, extra flour, and extra milk in that gravy, and it got good and thick. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay. You ever heard of Gail Claude Spivey? I know somebody in this room or somebody we're listening to has heard of Gail Claude Spivey. He was truly a player and a mover and a shaker in Tabor City.
okay.
So Gail Claude Spivey was up in Washington, D.C. at Congressman Charlie Rose's office. He was buddies with everybody. He was just very powerful, very interesting character. And a call came in from the Columbus County Civil Preparedness Director. And here is the result of the call. This is a quote or a little short article from the Washington Newsletter from Congressman Charlie Rose, number 17, September 27th, 1973. Our most unusual request for help came today. It concerned hairy monsters roaming the woods near Tabor City. A woman called in saying she had seen creatures 7 to 8 feet tall with shaggy brown hair all over their bodies, wearing green and red checkered shirts, torn at both shoulders, black pants, and old shoes that looked like brogans. She reported the monsters came day and night to drink water from my car radiator. Columbus County Civil Preparedness Director Howard Stanley called after a thorough search and said he was totally unprepared and could not cope with creatures from outer space that jump up in the air and 7 to 8 feet when they disappear. He asked for our assistance. I, being Charlie Rose, called the White House. And I think
It's getting good now.
it is. And once I do my other two, I've got 2 more interviews to do. We'll redo this story. In fact, I'm going to ask a favor. When I finish this interview of these last 2 people, and I'll have more details, would you let me come back and tell you how it ends?
Oh, we want to know how it is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I want to know where those guys got those boots. Are they pick and pay, buy one get one free, or
No, right?
I'd like to check out them boots they had.
Well, you see, it's
That's
weird
weird.
because I just realized it went from brown shirts, now it went to red and green checkered shirts. I don't know.
Maybe they're from a different neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Robin said they sounded like Bigfoots to her because apparently that lady never really saw a UFO. Now,
Well,
but
dress better than I do, I'll tell you that.
yeah. So anyway, that's the story of the Sydney Monsters. I think it's engaging. I think it's exciting, and it's truly the only real. Well, I know a couple of other UFO style stories from down here in the Myrtle Beach and Grand Strand area, but that has got the potential to be a blockbuster once I interview Rose
Sure.
and I found out where she lives.
Really.
You'll be bringing
She's
a
still
new hero.
alive.
Yeah. Is she alive?
I found out where she lived because her daughter passed away. And it said you could visit the home of the mother, and it gave the address in the Tabor City News.
Good for you.
And I mean, I just got lucky.
yeah.
I mean, no, she just passed away right as I was starting this investigation.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean, it was just so
Perfect
I found
timing, yeah.
I found out where she lives, and I'm going to go interview her if she will let me. And again, it couldn't get any better.
Jeez. You made a lot of progress because I remember the day you were in there talking. We were
I know.
discussing where the library would be, and I said Fayetteville State, UNC Wilmington, and you called the lady right there in the studio in Loris.
I know, and what I did, I ended up finding the Charlie Rose Congressional Newsletter at UNC Pembroke,
Okay, UNC Pembroke.
and they couldn't give me a PDF of it. So what I had to do is I had to do screen captures, and I got all the information there. So it was quite an adventure.
Wow.
It really was.
Yeah. That's exciting. We definitely got to have you back
Oh,
for some
yeah,
more.
yeah.
Yeah, I ain't been. We can do him on Small Town Big Talk. That'd be exciting.
Yeah.
We need a paranormal segment.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have to appeal to everybody.
That's great
Yeah.
stuff.
Even
That
us
is good
wackos that love the paranormal, I know
Oh,
I
yeah.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, there are people out there. I like it.
What's the name of the guy that does that show on the national radio about paranormal?
George Norrie.
Norrie. I used to listen to Norrie. I used to listen to him all the time. There was a guy prior to him,
Art Bell.
Art Bell. I used to listen to that show earlier in the morning, like
Well,
4 or 5 o'clock.
Jack, can I brag on myself just a little bit?
Go ahead, because William Shatner figures into this somehow.
Yes, he does. I run the South Carolina Lizard Man Festival. And when you Google up Lizard Man, my name shows up in every entry.
Well, I know your family's proud.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't know you looked like that.
That's right.
You got your picture.
So anyway, I got this phone call in January from the producer of Unexplained starring William Shatner. And he said, I see you know a lot about the Lizard Man. We'd like to interview you. I said, that'd be great. He said, we'll do a test run on Zoom. I said, okay, that's great. And then as we were doing the test run and everything, he said, do you know much about Bigfoot? I said, yeah, I run the Georgia Bigfoot Conference. I know a good bit about Bigfoot. He said, how about the Moon-Eyed People? Well, I mean, I just ran the Cherokee Comic-Con, and that's where the Moon-Eyed People are. They're up in Cherokee, and I'm from Burke County, so I know a lot about those local legends and the Brown Mountain Lights. I mean, you know, you grow up around this stuff.
Sure.
You have a love for it. It's part of your history. So anyway, and then I got a phone call in February from some girl with the show said, well, I'm sorry, we've decided to go in another direction. I said, okay, thanks. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know what direction you're going to go to, because I'm the guy that I know about as much about Lizard Man as anybody, because the book's almost coming out. So anyway, I got this phone call the end of March, and it was the producer. He said, we want to bring you out to Hollywood to film a segment for William Shatner's Unexplained.
Cool.
Would you come out here? The minute he said here, I said yes.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And they got me a plane ticket there and back. They put me up in a 4-star hotel in Atlanta and one in Los Angeles. They gave me a per diem. They paid me for being on the show. That was as first class as I have ever been treated. And they talked to me for an hour and a half.
Well, you can take another bottle of water with you when you leave. I mean, I can't top it, but
Yeah,
if I can get in there like a distant second, that's all I'm looking for right now.
You're my friend. You treat me first class every time.
Okay.
You've done it for 30 years.
All
but
right.
anyway, no, so it was a magnificent experience. And that show is going to air June the 3rd, 9 p.m. on the History Channel.
Oh, cool. That's great.
Sweet.
Let's have you in here before that happens. Let's book him on. Have him call. What's our assistant's name?
Raul?
Yeah, Raul. Have
Raul's
him call
got no
Raul and
power
get done
around
on. Well, he can get him
You
scheduled.
can get him scheduled, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that'd be
Raul
good.
can.
I'm scared of that. I'll just call Jack.
Yes, it's really Jack with an accent.
Exactly.
It is Jack with an
Yeah,
accent.
that's it.
Yeah, it's
Careful,
Raul.
You need a towel, moist wipe, or something there, because something just came flying out over here. It was alien to me.
Oh, yeah.
That is too cool.
That is very cool.
That's great. So these books, man, how many books have you written now? Because we're talking about writing a book. Now, I had already mentioned,
Yeah.
and he's going to get a kick out of this, that I was already talking about writing a book, because he's been jotting down some of my crazy stories I tell.
See, people should jot down crazy stories. It's part of our life. It's
Absolutely.
really cool.
I agree.
And so anyway, I've got 3 books out now. One is called Introduction to Hominology.
That's not dirty or anything.
No,
is
that
it?
is the science of bipedal hairy dudes that walk in the woods, which is Bigfoot. That is the science of Bigfoot.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I co-authored
I'm glad
that.
he cleared that up, because my mind was going totally somewhere
Yeah, I know,
else.
right?
Right. He said it's not bad, but then it was.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
it's the science of Bigfoot, and it's co-authored with Igor Burtsev. He's the top Bigfoot scholar in the world. He's the Russian dude. I like Igor a lot. I've met him. He stayed with my friend Robin a couple of summers, when I knew her, and just I got to hang out with him, and he just loves this stuff. And then I've got the Bigfoot Field Guide. Is basically how to go out and look for Bigfoot. There really isn't another book like that, and so I'm really working hard to get some additional contributors, and I want to make that'll kind of be a big deal when I get it out. And then finally, I've got Look Up in the Sky, Aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, and Anomalies. That's some of my creepy stories, which includes the Sydney Monsters, which includes several interesting things that have happened to me. And I love that book. So we're going to have the 3rd edition. When I finish the Sydney Monsters, I got I got 2 more people to talk to, and it'll be fun. So yeah, I'd love to be on. I'll accept the offer before William Shatner. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Look up in the sky.
Look up in the
Which
sky.
is the first thing, you being a Superman fan, that's the first thing.
First thing I
Do you know I could not find a book that had used that as the title?
Really?
Look up in the sky. That's just
It's a bird. It's a plane.
It's a gigantic part of our culture.
yeah, it is. Yeah, Superman symbolizes a lot of things.
Truth, justice, and the American way. Actually,
That's right.
Sure.
Exactly. Perry White. You got that right.
Perry or Barry?
Perry.
Oh, okay.
Perry
Perry
White,
White.
from the Daily Planet.
Perry
A
White.
little bit of difference there.
Jack, I'm surprised that you don't have a newspaper out called the Daily Planet because you have the Mayberry Gazette.
I know, right? Yeah.
We
That
love-
might be pushing it a little bit, the Daily Planet. But you were inspired by a copy of the Gazette, and so now you've got your own newspaper.
I've got
as
the
well.
Bigfoot Herald down
The
there in.
Bigfoot Herald.
down
Which
there-
sounds like somebody that shows up at my family
That's right.
reunions.
Exactly.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's all
Harold,
big-
he's always had big feet.
That's Bigfoot Herald over there.
and we are in talks with a publication down there in Clayton. They will be selling ads and representing us, and us being me. But they're going to do that. And
That's neat.
And I think the Bigfoot Herald is going to have legs. I'm sorry.
That's awesome.
You know what I meant,
I
but
know,
it,
yeah,
it just
exactly.
didn't
Yeah.
come out exactly right.
No, it's exactly how it was. Well, 2 limbs are better than one. That's
Right.
the Sydney Monster.
That's right.
Well, 1.5.
Yeah, 1.5.
That
Yeah.
1.5. they got.
Right. That is just that is great, man.
Very exciting.
That story is coming because I was looking at you like, Sydney Monsters, I got things to do. Get out of here. That nonsense.
Yeah, I'd never heard of the Sydney Monsters. Yeah, that is interesting.
Right, and I guess, in all fairness, I have broken the story because it's in my book first, and that's why I want to get it up to
Sure.
Amazon. I really want to get it up before June the 3rd, so that I can tell everybody. I can do some press releases and do a couple of special podcasts about it because it's fun.
I love the fact that it was published in the Tabor newspaper and during that time period because,
Yeah.
That's like a first. Yeah.
yeah,
Because it becomes folklore,
small
and then
town
you tell about it 30
newspapers
years
don't
later.
win
Right,
Pulitzer Prizes for just doing silly stuff.
Right.
And so
They don't. I mean, that is the most serious newspaper I have ever seen. They take intense pride in what they put in there.
Sure.
And if this story was in the Tabor City Tribune at that time, then it meant something. It's part of their history. It's like, and I'll say this, I want to say thanks to the Camden Independent and the Lee County Observer. They let me republish the 14 articles about the Lizard Man stories that were in the newspaper, and that gives my little book so much credibility.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot
Because
of credence there.
because it's really like the official register. Those stories were not on microfiche or anything, so I was able to get them, type them up, and they'll be part of history now. They'll be in hopefully a number of libraries, at least throughout South Carolina. There's no paranormal in that book. It's all about like why would the Lizard Man have come out that summer? Well, it was because of the heat and the drought. And we also can trace back other periods of heat and drought, like to the early 30s and the early teens, to sightings of the Lizard Man in Lee County. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's just kind of interesting. And how many Lizard Man does it take to make a population? And, no, really, that's science. That's called minimum viable population. That's a biological term. And, so it's, I tried to make it as factual as I could because, in fact, Lyle Blackburn, my buddy, he wrote the first book, Lizard Man, True Story of the Bishopville Monster. He did the same thing. He recorded a lot of the stories directly from Sheriff Liston Truesdale, who was trained by the FBI and knew what he was doing. So you'll find by the 3rd of June, you'll find 2 books about Lizard Man on Amazon that are very factual and quite non-paranormal. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
thanks for spending a little bit of time with us.
Yeah,
Dr.
no kidding.
John Stamey
You're
here
welcome.
on Fireside Chat Radio. You can catch ScaryCast Saturday nights at midnight on WLSC, Tiger Radio, or around the world at tigerradio.com. All right, guys, that's it.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
see you next time
Thank you, Doc.
on Fireside Chat Radio.